Welcome to the public participation virtual presentation for the Shotgun Road subdivision, a gated single-family community offering highly customizable, quality homes in a beautiful community setting. During this presentation, we will provide an overview of the project and explain how it will meet the standards and expectations of the town of Davie through their development review process. We will discuss the development site in the context of the community, the underlying zoning district, and the applications that have been submitted. If you have any questions regarding the development, you may contact the design team or the town of Davie at the email addresses listed at the end of the video. Before we discuss the applications, we will present the location of the site, identify the surrounding developments, and discuss the existing conditions. The Shotgun Road subdivision is located on a 151-acre site in Davie, Florida. It is located immediately east of I-75 on Shotgun Road, south of 14th Street, and north of 26th Street. The property is surrounded by single-family home communities to the north and to the south, with an agricultural property immediately to the east. You'll see that it is bordered by Highland Ranches to the north and DM Acres to the south, with the new Zona West community to the northeast. This property has historically been used for a cattle operation. The site also has two substandard central Broward canals on the east and west side of the property. Applications for rezoning, site plan, variances, and platting have been submitted to the town of Davie. These applications will be reviewed by town staff through the Development Review Committee, the Planning and Zoning Board, and ultimately by the Town Council. The project site is currently zoned AG Agricultural. Broward County and Town of Davie comprehensive plans designate the site as one dwelling unit per acre residential. Both the county and the town definitions of density refer to gross density, i.e. the total number of dwelling units proposed within an area divided by the gross acreage of the area. The project proposes 151 single-family dwelling units with 151.71 gross acres, and thus complies with the density standards of both land use plans. The current zoning district is AG Agricultural, and we're applying to change the zoning to R1, Estate Dwelling District, with open space design overlay. The surrounding properties are zoned R1 Estate Dwelling and Estate Dwelling E. The project site's current agricultural zoning designation is isolated within these districts. The project comprises 151.71 gross acres with a proposed density of 0.995 units per acre. The proposed change will allow for similar density and median lot sizes as many of the adjacent properties. The project site and the adjacent properties are all compatible based on the rural lifestyle regulations. Additionally, the rezoning would allow for the addition of over 60 acres of open space, providing an additional amenity to the neighborhood and the public, which will be discussed more at length later in this presentation. The site is currently in an isolated zoning district, though compatible with surroundings. The adjacent zoning districts are as follows. To the north, Estate Dwelling E, 1 dwelling unit per acre. To the east, Agricultural A1 and Estate Dwelling R1, 1 dwelling unit per acre. To the south, Estate Dwelling R1 and Transportation T, 1 dwelling unit per acre. And to the west, we have I-75 and the city of Weston. The A1, R1, and E districts are all limited to 1 dwelling unit per acre and are subject to Article 9 Rural Lifestyle Regulations, which presumes a level of shared characteristics and compatibility between the districts. The project site's current agricultural zoning designation is isolated within these districts. The town's Code of Ordinances requires that any request for rezoning must satisfy the criteria found in Section 12-307A1, and we have met this criteria by proposing a development that is consistent with the comprehensive plan, compatible with adjacent zoning districts, enhances both the site and the surrounding areas, increases the town tax base, does not negatively affect the development of surrounding properties, grant a special privilege to the landowner, or adversely affect living conditions in the area. The site plan application, you will see the 151-acre site is designed to construct 151 single-family homes in a gated community with 60 acres of publicly accessible open space. The median lot size will be 25,000 square feet. The community will feature 151 single-family homes, lush landscaping upgraded from code minimum, a 157-foot scenic corridor buffer along Shotgun Road, a gated entrance with extensive stacking, and the community will also include a community clubhouse and provide internal street lighting in compliance with code and night sky regulations, which minimize light pollution for the enjoyment and use of the property and the night environment by the residents. The stormwater management system will have valley gutters to direct stormwater to the retention and wetland areas for water quality treatment. The project site will have an outfall to the Central Broward Water Control District Canal along Shotgun Road through a structure that limits the discharge rate. This site will meet floodplain compensation, and therefore the discharge into the canals will either match or decrease from the current discharge. The community will also feature 60+ acres of open space, which will be publicly accessible from 3 pedestrian access points off of Shotgun Road. The open space will have wonderful features such as miles of equestrian and pedestrian paths with benches throughout, playgrounds, a VITA course, gazebos at wetland overlook areas, and a community clubhouse. The site will complete the following off-site improvements. A new equestrian trail and 10-feet mixed-use path will be constructed along the 2,670 feet of frontage on Shotgun Road, and it will tie into the internal trail network. Flashers will be installed at the north and south corners of the site. The project will also construct a roundabout for traffic calming in accordance with the Town of Davie Road Master Plan. The roundabout will also have lush landscaping and lighting to improve drainage in the entire basin. We will also be constructing an expansion of the existing Central Broward Water Control District C31 and C32 canals to meet current standards and construct a new connection between the two canals through an underground pipe and new canal on the south boundary of the property. The entrance to the project will be off of Shotgun Road, where the roundabout will be installed for traffic calming. The project will have ample stacking with 640 feet of guest stacking and 640 feet for resident stacking, before reaching the guardhouse and gated entry. The project will also have a turnaround before the gates to ensure the flow of traffic. There will also be 2 fire access points at the north and south end of the project. The traffic study was conducted as part of the site plan approval process. Landscaping will be installed at the entrance, throughout the community, and along Shotgun Road. Each home will also have its own landscape plan to further enrich the neighborhood tree canopy. Native or drought-tolerant landscaping will be predominant. Additionally, to accommodate the Shotgun Road Canal expansion, the scenic corridor buffer was expanded from 100 feet to 157 feet to ensure significant prevention of visual encroachment of buildings and structures, while also providing an amenity along the proposed equestrian and pedestrian trails along Shotgun Road. Each lot and model type will have their own unique landscape plans to further enhance the community landscape and complement each home style. 1- and 2-story model homes will be offered, and the minimum unit size will be 3,460 AC square feet. There will be 8 different base models with 3 different elevation styles, multiple color options for each elevation, and numerous floor plans options per model for a truly customizable community. The elevations will meet the town of Davie's anti-monotony criteria. Elevations are traditional Florida style, farmhouse/northern style, and the coastal style elevation. The project is eligible for 12 incentive points per Section 12-288 of the Land Development Code, which authorizes the Town Council to approve certain design modifications which will result in an overall benefit to the town. The project is eligible for 12 incentive points as follows: 2 points for providing a full landscape buffer along the designated scenic corridor, and 10 points for an open space design overlay. The project requests to use the incentive points as follows: 5 points to reduce the ultimate road right-of-way to a 40-foot cross-section with a sidewalk required on only one side of the road, and 5 points to change the entry feature and signs to be allowed to exceed the maximum 4.5 feet in height, but not to exceed 10 feet in height and 10 feet in length per side. The project will also be making the following waiver requests. The first is to reduce the minimum setback from a building envelope to a lake/pond. Section 12-299-1E5 of the Land Development Code requires a 100-foot setback of a building envelope from lakes or ponds. And while the project does not contain any lakes or ponds, it does contain existing canals. The canals will be expanded to meet the current Central Broward Water Control District standards. To maintain building separations and front setbacks while expanding the canals to meet Stormwater Management Agency criteria, the setback from these areas must be reduced to less than 100 feet for some of the lots. Our second waiver request is to increase the building coverage ratio from 22.5% to 25%. The open space design overlay allows for the reduction of lot sizes in favor of greater open space requirements. The regulations do not provide for a reduction of the maximum building coverage per lot. Therefore, regulations of the underlying district would apply. For Section 1281, for R1 district, it would be 22.5%. To provide homes compatible with the surrounding neighborhoods and to avoid having all two-story homes, a deviation is hereby requested to increase the maximum building coverage per lot to 25%. Our third waiver request is to increase the maximum allowable percent of water area qualifiable for open space requirements from 10% to 12.2%. The project currently has canals running along I-75, the N32, and Shotgun Road, the N31, which will be brought to current Central Broward standards. An additional canal will be built on the south portion of the site and have an underground connection from the N32 canal to the N31 canal. The aggregate impact of the 3 expanded canals will be an improvement to drainage of the entire basin. The net area of the project is 151.42 acres, with 7.4 acres of proposed canal and 61 acres of open space. The canal represents 12.2% of open space, where the maximum allowable would be 10%. Therefore, a deviation is hereby requested to increase the maximum water body coverage area of the open space from 10% to 12.2%. Our next waiver request is to reduce the open space frontage to 50 feet to facilitate more pedestrian access points to wetland overlook areas where the code section requires open space located adjacent to a roadway to have a minimum of 100 feet of frontage. Our final waiver request is to reduce the minimum spacing of building envelopes from roads from 35 feet to 25 feet. Section 12-299.1E4 requires minimum spacing of building envelopes from public right-of-way, private streets, access drives, or common driveways of 35 feet. To provide variations in front setbacks without unduly burdening the significant backyards that homes of this caliber warrant, we request a deviation for every other lot to have a setback of 25 feet. Our first variance request is related to the walls and berms. The project is seeking a variance from Section 12287B of the Town of Davie's Land Development Code for installing continuous decorative low retention walls along the entrance and monument sign walls and installing two 6-foot high monument sign walls on a 9-foot berm. The project site is improving the canal that runs the whole frontage and is thus providing 157 feet of scenic corridor buffer, which is over and above the 100-foot buffer required per the code. The proposed signs will be placed outside of the scenic corridor buffer. Placing the sign at the adjacent grade of the scenic corridor buffer would render it unreadable from the Shotgun Road. Entrance features such as low-seat decorative walls and monument sign walls play an important role in the aesthetics and functions of the community. By allowing the entry feature monument sign walls to have three terraced low-seat retaining walls as a base for the entry sign, the town would be enabling the cohesive design of the community rather than repressing the aesthetics. Additionally, by placing the sign where the lettering will be no bigger than 2 by 15 feet, the sign can retain a smaller overall profile while still being seen from the road. On the same note, low-seat walls such as the proposed 30 inches walls that meander around the entrance and along the monument sign berms not only serve as retaining walls, but also as an architectural decorative feature that serves to enhance aesthetics and guide people into the subdivision. Our second variance request is for the sound barrier wall along I-75. The project will be constructed as a custom home development, and the sound from I-75 would be an undue burden for homeowners. Per the FDOT precast wall noise standards, wall heights range from 12 to 22 feet. We're proposing to use 12 feet as that is the minimum height allowed per the FDOT standards. The columns must be spaced at 20 feet rather than 10 feet due to the standard manufacturing criteria of precast walls. The additional spacing is validated by the aesthetics integrity of the wall. The wall runs approximately 2,700 feet, and at 12-foot high and 10 feet column spacing would be excessive. Additionally, the wall's location on top of the berm is to facilitate the expansion of the canal, which provides increased flood capacity for the region. The third variance request is related to the garages. The purpose of Code Section 12289 is to establish a well-defined residential streetscape and to design developments that are attractive and pedestrian-friendly spaces. CC Homes would construct Shotgun Road subdivision as a custom home development, with most homes built after a buyer executes a contract. The buyer would design their home by choosing from the models and interior and exterior options for each model. The requested variance will facilitate development of large lot single-family homes that are similar in size and style to those in the surrounding area. The project includes a variety of designs and options for each home that will ensure there is sufficient architectural diversity within the development. CC Homes has a track record of providing new homes with high-quality design standards. The number of models and options offered by CC Homes at the Shotgun Road subdivision are more comparable to a custom home builder than a tract home builder. Some homes in the surrounding areas have front-loaded garages, indicating buyer preference for such an option. As such, granting the variance will be in harmony with the code section's stated purpose to design developments that are attractive and pedestrian-friendly places, and the variance will not be detrimental to the public welfare. The homes in the proposed project are carefully ornamented and have a variety of distinguishing architectural features. The models with garages at the front of the facade are designed in such a manner that the garages unobtrusively blend into the rest of the house. Given that the front-loaded garages would not detract from the attractiveness of the proposed neighborhood, the strict application of the provisions of Code Section 12290D would create a hardship to provide flexible floor plans designed that meet potential buyers' demands in a customizable community. Additionally, all models and lots would meet the required building envelope spacing and setbacks from right-of-ways and property lines. A plurality of the models and options have front-loaded garages, and in most of those instances the garage has no setbacks from the rest of the facade. Therefore, permitting the garages to have no setbacks from the facade is the minimum variance necessary. The exact quantity of models built with the garage facing the front will be determined by the choices made by the consumers, albeit within the constraint imposed by the 50% cap per Code Section 12290D. The plat is the final application that has been submitted. Platting is the process of subdividing property in the official records. It is also used to evaluate the impacts of a proposed development on regional facilities and services. Because this property has never been platted in accordance with Broward County's requirements, an application for platting is required. This application must be approved by both the Town of Davie and Broward County. The plat itself is a multi-page document that includes a dedication and signature page, the legal description of the land being platted, and a drawing of the site. This drawing includes the boundary of the plat, the boundaries of each lot, any easements, adjacent right-of-way, square footage of the lots, and a restrictive note. This plat will be restricted to 151 single-family homes. We hope that you found this presentation informative. If you have any questions regarding the proposals or the applications, please feel free to email us at the address listed below. You may also contact David Abramson at the Town of Davie. Thank you very much.